Hello, members of the Loveland community. We are very thankful for the opportunity to partner with Junior Achievement today in offering a panel discussion about 5 of the most in-demand career opportunities in the greater Cincinnati area. Being in proximity to several thriving industries gives us a unique glimpse into areas where students can find success. Our distinguished panelists will share information about each of their areas of expertise. Our moderators today are seniors Megan Korniak and Cole Harder, and we appreciate your focus today as we begin our panel discussion.
You've been asked to be with us today because you represent the fastest growth employment industries in our region. Tell us about your industry and its importance.
So I'm here speaking for advanced manufacturing, as you're aware. I work at GE Aviation, so I can speak to both aerospace industry, which is growing, in addition to advanced manufacturing. So lots of technological changes and growth within manufacturing over the course of the past X number of years that have allowed us to make many advances within the aviation industry as well. So.
And I'm here representing healthcare, and I'm with TriHealth, and we're an integrated healthcare system, and being one of the fastest growing industries, it is an industry that is becoming more and more in demand based upon how patients are evolving, based upon the numbers of individuals now that were not traditionally within healthcare, and I'm here to help explain some of the career options that we have in healthcare that are not your traditional ones that everyone thinks about as far as clinical care.
And I'm representing information and technology, and I'm retired from United Dairy Farmers, but information and technology affects all companies. You know, it is integral into their business operations, and in many cases it can be a strategic advantage to companies.
And I represent the construction industry, and the importance of construction, it's so much more than building buildings. And I think of explaining our purpose, Messer's purpose, but it's our industry's purpose, and it's really about building, but it's building better lives for our customers, our community, and each other.
And I'm talking about supply chain, where I spent most of my career. And if you think about it, everything you eat, everything you wear, everything you buy had to come through a supply chain, or you wouldn't have access to it. And it's a fascinating field that goes from either digging the stuff out of the ground or cutting it off a sheep, all the way through turning it into something to you get it at your door. Either you go to Kroger to get it, or Amazon delivers it, or somehow you get it. So that whole thing is the supply chain.
So as a high school student, what should I expect your industry to look like when I graduate from high school and when I graduate from college?
So I would say within, again, the aerospace industry, we've seen growth of around 4 to 7% within both the U.S. and global year over year, so that's expected to continue. About 10 million people work in the aviation industry. Within the U.S. currently, it's about $1.5 trillion industry within the U.S. and we expect that to continue both here as well as globally.
And I would say within healthcare, there are several important changes that you'll see, or advancements. One is certainly around technology, the utilization of technology to diagnose diseases, illnesses, those types of things, but then also relative in provision of care, and how technology we utilize as the backbone of everything that we do within our healthcare system. The second thing is team-based care. In the past, you relied more on your primary physician, and that person is pretty much who you saw unless you had an advanced illness. Now it's much more team-based, and so having a good understanding of how to coordinate, how to operate within a team environment is going to be critical to the success of anyone coming into the healthcare space.
And the technology is really advancing everywhere. And if you think about, I think some of the things we'll see in the future is artificial intelligence, and that is going to affect all of our industries. It's affecting the healthcare industry. It's you think about self-driving cars, that will probably become a reality, not just cars and vehicles in general. So, and then there's always the unknown. Technology continues to grow very quickly.
So the construction industry, we're just booming right now. And we just did a forecast over the next 3 years of the demand, and it's huge. And our biggest constraint is getting workforce development. Students like you to come into the construction industry, because there's just tremendous opportunities. And everybody's talking about technology, and it's in construction big time. You know, we're using drones to go around the buildings and sites and see what needs to be done and how to go about it.
I think there's one word I describe what's gonna happen with the supply chain, and it's patience or impatience. So like today, you expect to be able to go into the grocery store all winter and get a strawberry. Nobody's growing strawberries around here. So we're bringing those strawberries up from South America, and the lifetime of the strawberry literally is about 5 days. So how do you get the stuff from South America here to the grocery store, have you take it home knowing that in about 5 days it's gonna turn into mush? So that's one patient thing. The other thing is just patience on time. So today you can order on Amazon, you can have it in 2 days. 5 years ago in China, you could order on their version of Amazon and have it in an hour. So people would go to lunch, go, oh, those shoes are cute, bing, 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 go back to the office, there's the shoes waiting for you. Literally, I've seen it happen. So there is so much more we can do on supply chain with technology, which I think everybody else is talking about, in order to speed things up, which consumers are demanding.
What personal qualities caused you to consider the career path that you did?
I didn't choose aerospace engineering and manufacturing. It kind of chose me, I'll say. So I was fortunate early on to have an opportunity to intern, and totally suggest that for you and anyone else. But as an opportunity to initially immerse yourself within an industry and completely fall in love. So the first time, spent some time on the shop floor around actual jet engines, which are as big as this room in some instances, and really saw certainly the collaborative team environment and an opportunity to learn, grow, opportunities to improve and change every day.
Between my sophomore and junior year of college, I actually sat down and thought about, okay, what is it that I really want to do? And I had some great advice from a friend, and that was really around what is it that you really like to do, what are you passionate about, and what are you good at? And so when I looked at those two things, I was very good in psychology. I just had a knack for that. And I was very good in business. And so the combination of those two things really was, as I did my research, was human resources. And I also wanted a career where I could be industry agnostic. It didn't matter what industry I was in, human resources is going to be a critical part of that industry. And with human resources, I get to impact every aspect of the organization. No matter what is going on, there's an aspect that myself or the team that I work with, we have to be part of that solution for the organization. And I didn't necessarily choose healthcare. It kind of happened by circumstance. But being in healthcare now, I don't necessarily see myself moving into another industry, because every day I go to work, it's very clear for me what our mission is. Our mission is to serve this community and make sure we provide the best possible care for every single person in this community, any person that comes from another community to receive care here.
I started off with a business degree and went into public accounting, and I've worked in banking, I've worked in insurance, and then I spent 21 years with United Dairy Farmers. And I think throughout my career, what I've liked the best about it, and it really covers all industries, is I like working with people, I like solving problems, and I like making money for the company. So
The construction industry, qualities that I have, I like the outdoors, I like teamwork, sports, and working with others. I don't like sitting behind a desk, and I like to see the results of my work. But I'll be honest, when I was in high school and in your age, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I wanted to do something, but I just didn't know what it was. And I tried another industry, and I'm working nights and 10 hours a night, 6 days a week, and wasn't my passion. It saw no future in it. So I decided to roll in college and get into a construction management program at UC, and got into their internship and co-op, and got hired as a co-op in the construction industry, and bam, that's exactly what I want. You want to take your attributes, your strengths and your passion, put it together and get paid for it.
It's pretty much all been said. I love working with people, and so if you get into supply chain, you are definitely working with people. I'm also an engineer, so I like solving problems to the point that I can go in McDonald's and it drives me nuts when it's not efficient. And my husband has to put his hand on my shoulder and say, "You don't work here, let's order, let's get out of here." So I have to fix problems when I see them, and if you're bent that way, supply chain's wonderful. And then I like seeing the tangible result of what I did, so I could go in a store and say, "I did that." All right.
So what would my day-to-day activities look like as like an entry-level employee in your company compared to what you do now? Feel free to describe your daily activities.
I think an entry-level employee, you start off, you're learning the day-to-day operations. So in information and technology, it would depend, of course, on what you were doing. If you were working on hardware, you might be, installing computers, setting people up, getting their security correct, getting networks together. If you're more in the application area, you might be working on a program or installing new software. And so you just kind of work your way up as you learn about the company. In my position, it was more dealing with the strategy and the vision of the company, directing people to implement that vision, and of course solving problems.
I would say for our industry, the first job would probably be a supervisor where you would have a team of people, and your responsibility really is today. Get today out properly. Make enough stuff. Don't let anybody get hurt. Make sure it's good quality. Deal with somebody's on vacation. How do you fill in? So it's very here and now. As you go up in the company, I think the difference is timing. At my level, I'm looking at where are we going to be in 5 years? How are we going to deal with delivery in 1 hour instead of a day? What are we doing with a workforce that's tightening up? So really thinking, that's why I'm here today, right, is trying to get people interested in supply chain. So that's, as you go up higher, it just, the time frame of what you're trying to do gets longer and longer, and your responsibility gets wider. You've got more people responsible.
In construction, one of the biggest feeders of our incoming people is the co-op program, an internship. But early on, in all likelihood, you'll be out on a project, a construction site, working with a team and assisting a project manager who's in charge of the project, and just working with subcontractors in the supply chain, scheduling materials, looking at submittals and procurement, making sure safety is planned in every day, and quality, and learning what it takes to be a project manager.
Sorry. Can you describe a time that you tried something that didn't turn out the way you planned?
When I started college, I started as pre-med psychology, and I was going to be a psychiatrist. And after 2 years, I discovered, okay, I really don't love science. But the lesson learned for me there was, just because you have a plan doesn't mean you can't veer away from that and change direction at any point if it's not the right decision for you. And to have the confidence and the ability to use the resources around you to figure out, okay, well, what is the right decision for me?
Early in my career, I was young. I was just promoted to one of these project managers in charge of the job, and we were getting ready to pour a concrete slab in one of the areas, and I was going to move it up and get it done by Friday. It wasn't scheduled until the following week. And then people were knocking on my office, and the electrician says, "You can't do this. I got 3 days of work before that I have to put into this concrete slab." And the plumber said the same thing, and I had a mutiny going on. I learned from the school of hard knocks that it's not just about me, it's about the team.
What is one misperception about your industry that you would call fake news?
First, within the manufacturing industry broadly, I think people think sometimes, dirty, long hours, loud, and my perception is completely opposite of that. So a lot more use of additive technologies, robotics, things of that nature that certainly change the game around the environment that you're working in. That you certainly don't need a college education to have an excellent career within manufacturing. So we have a lot of opportunities for workforce training programs, apprenticeship programs, individuals to get 2-year degrees or certificates in an airframe and power plant license, to be a technician, to work on aircraft engine overhaul, repair, opportunities to work globally within that space.
The only jobs in healthcare are nurses and doctors. That is so far from the truth. There are so many different career paths within healthcare. If you want to be a chef, we have executive chefs, multiple executive chefs across our system. If you want to be in logistics or supply chain, we have an entire department for that. Human resources, finance, IT, customer service. There's so many different opportunities within healthcare, and that's probably one of the reasons it's one of the fastest growing industries.
Bunch of white men swinging hammers, digging ditches, and with no future. Okay, and it's so far from the truth, because our industry is just so inclusive of everybody, and it's a career that can go wherever you want to go. We have the skilled trades without going to college, where you learn a skilled trade on the job through apprenticeships and through workforce development, professional development. Then we have the administration and managerial paths. So it's pretty much wherever you want to go.
If you could share one thing with students as a takeaway about your industry, what would it be?
Our industry is growing like gangbusters, to the point that I'm giving people raises every 6 months just to hold on to them. This is becoming, in this area, a hub for supply chain. And please go out and tell all of your peers, get into manufacturing and supply chain, because there are going to be more jobs than there are people.
In technology, as you've heard today, it affects every business, and there's so many opportunities in it. I think sometimes people think of it, it's geeks, in a dark room, but, it affects the business area as well. So you have those traditional areas, but, the data that we have today that we can analyze and see what customers want. And, you get things on your phone that are suggesting you buy something, and that's all, the behind the scenes of the data.
So are there any steps that high school students can take now to find increased success later down in their career?
The more you can talk to people, about information technology or any career you're interested in. I also would encourage, as a high school student, to get a part-time job or a summer job, so that you can learn about the world of work. Showing up on time and learning to work with other people, and all of those are really valuable skills no matter what career path you take.
Practically everything we do in business these days is team-based. And so understanding how to not only work with people, but also lead people, either officially and formally or informally. Try out different options. Try different things. You don't have to be satisfied with just the first thing. It's okay to try multiple careers and get experience in them. Volunteer if you have to, but understand what it is that really is a match for you. Make sure you have the good habits today that will help you be successful later.
If you can go and just spend a day or two shadowing somebody who's doing what you think you want to do, it is so enlightening. So my youngest daughter was going to be an accountant. I set her up after her freshman year of college. She comes home and goes, "Oh my God, most boring day of my life." I said, "Why?" She said, "All I do is talk about numbers." I said, "This is not your career, sweetheart." So she's moved on to marketing. That said, I would advise everybody to take a finance or accounting class, one class, because business is all about the money for this. You've got to figure out how to converse in business finance language.
I don't know that there's any correct set of steps. I would say that there's no wrong step. So anything that you can do in that instance to have some level of exposure, whether it's, speaking with someone or physically being somewhere, anything you can do to at least gain some exposure to your options is beneficial.
Whatever you're doing, whether it's schoolwork, whether it's part-time job and involvement in community, do your best. When you do your best, you'll be surprised. Good things will happen.
We certainly want to say thank you to our executive panel who offered wonderful insights, not only into their industries, but also into ways for students to be successful. We also want to say thank you to our partners with Junior Achievement for the work that they've done to bring this together. And we thank you for your attention during today's presentation.